mamas. We are here live on Mama Talk for the first episode. Today we're going to talk with Molly and Luna. I'm Valentina Izarra, and we are going to talk about getting your sexy back post-baby. Yeah, the first step. I am going to invite Molly and Luna. Hold on one second. And it's going to happen. Molly, where'd you go? There you go.
Hey, hey.
Yes, we did it.
Yes. This is called persistence, mamas, persistence.
Oh my gosh. Yes, we finally did it. We're here. See, we need to get this subject out because I know a lot of mamas out there that are pregnant and that are going to be going through postpartum. And Molly and I were discussing about how it's something that we need to talk about with our mamas out there. Well, first of all, Molly, let's tell our audience a little bit about the Mama Talk.
Absolutely. So I just hit share. So if you're joining us, click share. But okay, so welcome to Mama Talk Live. This is the place to be for all things mama. I am your go-to typical American host, a new mama to a 16-month-old Miss Ahana Eliana, and I'm here with the beautiful Latina Mamas con Ganas, Miss Valentina, who is also a mommy of two amazing boys. And no topic here is off limits, so make sure you grab.
That's right.
Grab your coffee, settle in, join the conversation, because we know, mama, you're super busy. From being a successful career woman to a chauffeur to the ultimate cook to just being the best mother and the wife and best friend you can possibly be.
And everything.
Everything. You know, we've got to talk about things to help you get back to you, mama. So let's talk.
I love it. Okay, so our first episode, we wanted to discuss, there is a journey that I just had a baby 6 months ago. And so with my son Leonardo, I'm going through that journey still of getting back my sexy back and getting my body back. And I think it's something that everybody wants to go back to. Everybody wants to go back to feeling themselves and getting their body back and everything. But there is a journey that happens as we go and get to that point, right? Molly, it doesn't just happen overnight. It's a journey, and it first starts with one thing, and that's what we're here to discuss with you ladies today. Like, what is the first step in going and getting our sexy back and into that first step in that journey to get there? Because I feel like everybody wants to kind of jump right in and going back to like the way that they felt before, but it really does start with like step number one. So that's what we are here to discuss. And step number one, meaning we have it many different ways. Molly, how would you describe your first step in terms of getting back to your pre-baby body?
Right. So step number one. So my baby girl is 16 months old, and every mother has their own journey and their own their own trials and tribulations. The road into motherhood. I know we've got a few new mamas or soon to be mamas watching, and so it can be a daunting task on picking a pediatrician. Oh, I'm getting off topic now, but I'm getting, so much to think about stepping into it. And certainly one fear can possibly be is getting your body back. So for me, the first step really is about getting back into the now, into the moment, and recognizing whether you are thinking about stepping into motherhood, are currently pregnant, have just given birth, or your babe's a toddler like mine. Wherever you are right now in this moment is where you need to be okay with.
Yes, self-acceptance. Yeah, it definitely starts with self-acceptance. I feel like that's the first step to any type of self-realization, is first be in the moment and embrace where we are at that moment. And sometimes where we are post-body and postpartum can be very difficult, because all of a sudden we're looking at our reflections in the mirror and we don't even recognize ourselves, right? We're used to looking a certain way and being a certain way, and then all of a sudden we're no longer the way we were pre-baby, but we're no longer the way we were when we were pregnant, because we also, you know, being pregnant, we had to go through that journey, and our belly kept growing and getting bigger and little by little. So it gave us time to sort of be present in the moment and see ourselves as like this thing that was growing inside of us and us getting bigger and bigger. And then all of a sudden the baby's out and we don't even recognize ourselves at first when we look in the mirror. So the self-acceptance, it really starts, you know, we were discussing earlier today, Molly's experience and we were saying that that's where it first starts. That first journey into like post-baby, getting your sexy groove on back. It really starts at being present, like Molly said, and being conscious of the fact that we are no longer pre-baby, we're no longer pregnant, we are post-baby, but now we have to accept a new reality. And facing that new reality can be quite daunting, right?
Mm-hmm. You know, new reality, I mean, at every moment, like we are here to talk about motherhood and post-baby body, but like really think about it. Every moment, every single day is a new reality. And the body that you have right now, like if you think about it as you're like from your baby self through your preteens to your womanhood, and then wherever you are on your birth-giving journey, it has transformed and changed every single time. And it has never failed you. At least my body has never failed me. Yes. You can get into a space of recognizing that like, it is a miraculous thing. You know, I know for me, those last few months before giving birth to my baby, my skin, like I didn't know how much my skin was going to change. I got that pregnancy mask, that hyperpigmentation, and I was a little bit shy to be on camera about it, right? But I'm like, okay, it's just a process. Embrace this moment. It's a sign that my body, the hormones are lining up in just the way it needs to like cook this cute little babe and what have you. And then
it's a miracle that what we're able to do, like you said, like it's amazing, like what our bodies are capable of, and literally looking at ourselves in the mirror, even though we might not love necessarily what we see, because we live in a society where I think we feel like we're supposed to give birth and all of a sudden be like, oh, like just the way we were before. But we don't step back and look at ourselves and allow ourselves to give thanks for what our body has allowed us to do, to literally perform the miracle of life, you know, and that being such a miracle that has been given to us, and really stepping into the realization is that, okay, maybe aesthetically the things are not the way that I want them to look, but first and foremost, I'm going to be present in the now, and I'm going to give thanks for what my body has allowed me to bring into the earth, which is, you know, my son or my daughter.
Yes. You know, the first time that I witnessed that miracle of birth was I was in high school, and my aunt had given birth to, I can't remember which one, but one of her 5 beautiful children. And I went and visited her at the hospital, and I thought, just because I'd been inundated from the media, from magazines and whatnot, that I saw in the magazines all the time about these celebrities and their post-baby body and how she got so slim so fast. And I went to the hospital to welcome my cousin into the world, and I saw my aunt, and I was like, the baby's out, but she still had a belly. And I thought, what? Like, I didn't know. I thought before, this is my first experience, I thought you just like, the baby's out, you're slim again. Like, it's all just baby weight.
No. Yes, I know, because we have this, for some reason, that's like what they inundate us with. Like like you said, in all these magazines, like the People magazine, you see the celebrity, and like 2 weeks later, they're like, you know, they show up looking like, well, first of all, the way your body looks right after birth versus 2 weeks later is completely different. Like, I don't know about you, Molly, but when I gave birth, I still look like I was 6 months pregnant the day after.
Yeah.
Like, literally 6 months. 6 months pregnant is a big belly then.
Yeah.
You know?
It is. Well, it's interesting because if I can find the picture, I'll dig it up and I'll post it here on Mama Talk Live just to get real with you. But after giving birth, like, it'd only been a couple of hours, and one of my friends, a former client, and she's in her mid-50s, so it's been a while since she gave birth, but she even came to the hospital and like had looked at me and looked at my body and goes, oh wow, you still have a belly. And I thought, okay, that was my original thought, right, when I was a teenager seeing my aunt. But the thing is, like, your uterus, it expands into this beautiful home for your baby, and it doesn't just go down in an instant, but it does go down very quickly. And like you said, Valentina, in 2 weeks, or even, what did you say, 2 days? It's just.
Yeah. Well, even I remember my transformation this time around, it was 6 months ago, and you sort of forget when you go through it after a while. Like it had been several years, because my firstborn was like 9 years old. It's 9 years old. So this is like, it's a huge space between my first one and my second one.
Fair.
And this time was like a reminder of, yes, your body goes back to, goes back to a normal state. But there is a huge, you need like a lot of patience with yourself. So do not panic. Like for any of you who are going to give birth soon, do not panic. Your body at 1 day or 2 days or 3 days or even 2 weeks, it's like, it is a very slow and gradual process. I mean, we have to remember that it took 9 months or over 40 weeks, right, to get to the point of us giving birth. So for us to bounce back in like no time or 2 weeks is sort of like asking our bodies too much. And I feel like sometimes when we ask that of ourselves, when it's might not necessarily be natural, we can go into this mode of feeling very frustrated and a lot of and direct a lot of anger towards ourselves, because all of a sudden our idea of what our body's supposed to look like doesn't match with maybe 2 weeks post baby. So the body looks very different, like from 1 day to 2 days to 2 weeks. Even right now with the gradual process that I've had, 6 months later, I look completely different than I looked at, 3 months.
Yeah.
And I know that at 1 year, I'll still look different. So it's a slow, gradual process, and we need to just be patient with ourselves and accept ourselves, I think, every moment of the way.
We have to be patient. And I want to just share a little bit about my journey, because I wasn't so patient with myself. I had a great pregnancy, absolutely great birth. Everything was fantastic. I mean, I worked out up till 2 days before delivery, and like I'm climbing the Santa Monica stairs, and I was a ninja mama, and I know.
Molly, do you have a natural birth or a C-section?
I had a natural birth, no drugs. In fact, I gave birth twice, kind of, because
that's not my case, ladies. I had a C-section.
Did you have a C-section with both babes?
Yes, I did. Yeah. So, okay, go ahead. Keep on telling me.
So, for me, I was like the super fit mama. I didn't gain any additional weight outside of the baby. I pushed for 15 minutes. I gave birth to her naturally. However, I had a
15 or 50?
15, 1-5.
Wow.
Like it was like,
the super mama right here, super mama.
My birth story is like so interesting, because like I was planning on giving birth at home, and I had opened up to 10 centimeters. I was ready to push, but my midwife didn't have her license in time. She's like, no, we have to transport to the emergency room, because legally, like, I could get in a lot of trouble if there's any complications. So my body shut down to 6 centimeters. I went to the hospital, and I had to open myself back up to 10 centimeters, which I did within an hour, thanks to my amazing husband. But anyway, I pushed, and I thought, okay, this is going to be great. Like, natural birth, like, I'm going to just jump right back into it. I had a problem with, they couldn't stop the bleeding. And so the doctor, she literally was like beating my uterus to try to get it to contract and to stop. And so I just want to say, like, postpartum, I was so sore, like insanely sore. And I wasn't prepared for that. And here I thought, I think there's a video out on Facebook. I think maybe by 6 weeks I started jump roping again. But like, I was in no condition to be jump roping and trying to like get my fit back. I wasn't kind enough to myself. I didn't honor myself enough to just rest the way that my body needed to rest.
Because we want to do that mostly when we're people that are used to moving. Like I dance. Some of you might have seen my dance videos online, and I'm very active as well. So I was working out and dancing up until the day before giving birth. But yeah, we want to sometimes push ourselves past the point where we're ready. But the mistake in doing that is that afterwards we could actually regret doing something to our bodies because we're not patient enough to listen to our bodies, for it to allow it to tell us when we're actually ready to do those activities. And I completely, you know, I'm with you with that. The first time I gave birth with my son, with my firstborn, about 8 weeks later, you know, they tell you that you, the doctor gave me the okay to start working out. And so I had a trainer back then. I remember I started working out, and then I felt something. Ooh. And thank goodness that I was smart enough to stop. And I remember feeling something as if it was like opening, you know, with a C-section, they rip you open. I mean, you get cut and they tear through all of those abdominal
all those fibers. Yeah.
And it's a surgery. I mean, it's a full-on surgery that you need to, you know, you need to really be patient with in order to be able to. It's fine. I mean, everything was great. I got into better shape after my C-section. About a year and a half later, I was in better shape than I had ever been in my life. So, you know, having a C-section is definitely not the end of the world. I had actually a really good experience with it, but you do really need to, I think, always listen to your body. And if you have this inkling that you're not ready to do certain things, you kind of have to step back. And I was smart enough at that moment to think to myself, something's wrong here. It doesn't feel right. And so I talked to my trainer about it. And I remember he told me, he said, Valentina, you know what? It's not worth it. You know, waiting another month is waiting another month, and that's it. But it's not worth to, you know, God forbid, rip open the sutures or the, you know, the stitches or whatever. And it's better to just wait. So I actually waited about 4 more weeks. When I really started working out, it was about 12 weeks postpartum. And it was the best decision I think I made, because when I started strong, and I started feeling that my body was now able to handle the working out and the exercise and all of the things that I was, you know, that I was wanting to do at that point. Because I've heard of horror stories of women who have actually pushed through that, you know, that little
that ego voice. It's like, come on, super mama, get that body back.
Exactly. And then they push through that, and they don't allow themselves to listen to their body telling them, hold on a second, I'm not yet ready. I'm going to be ready, because it is going to get ready, but they don't listen to that voice. And then they have really awful things that can happen. Like they start having bleeding that they shouldn't, or the stitches from the C-section opens up, and then they get into a situation where that they regret later on that they didn't listen to their internal voice.
You have to listen to your body. So one thing I did not know or expect post baby was that leading up to the delivery of your child, you're contracting, right? Well, even afterwards, your uterus is now contracting, trying to get back to that small, you know, less than a fist size space that it normally operates in for your 28-day cycle. And I was not expecting how intense those postpartum contractions were going to be. So listening to your body and allowing it to rest so it can go back to its homeostatic state, its natural, normal state that you're used to operating in. And I tried to honor it, but I know that I created a lot of it myself, of feeling like, but I still have a business to run. You know, my husband's working and I still have a household to keep up. I have dogs to take care of. I've got friendships to maintain. I've got these expectations from my family, my relatives, my friends who want to come see the baby, and just getting too much in the go that actually, Valentina, I ended up having a couple weeks later some deep, deep pain in my hips, because that's something too that mommy's never talked to me about. It's like, hello, yeah, your hips open and spread. Your uterus grows and extends to hold a baby. So now that the baby has now been birthed into this world, your body is slowly coming back together. And when you do too much too quickly, you can really jar things. And I mean, I could take it another level and talk about the emotional blockages and what the spiritual meaning behind it was. But just to kind of stay on topic here, I think you've nailed it, Valentina. It's about listening to your body.
Yes. Listening, definitely listening to the body, and staying present and being okay with the moment. Because knowing, like, I think once we know and we're able to realize and have faith that things don't stay, everything in life changes. So we go through transition, and that it's all a transition, and that, yes, we're going to be able to go back to the way things were. Yes, we're going to be able to work out. Yes, we're going to be able to get fit. Yes, we're going to be able to do those things. But realizing at the present moment that right now the present moment is not necessarily, that's not where we are, and we allow ourselves to go through that journey and be patient with ourselves, I think it can be one of the most rewarding things later on. Because then afterwards, didn't it happen to you, like that phase passed so quickly and then you were like, I was worried about all these things that didn't really matter at that moment in time, because I was so focused on the future and what I wanted to accomplish that I didn't really didn't step into the present moment and really enjoy it. And I think that's one of the blessings as a second time mom, is the fact that, you know, when you have the first baby, you have so many, you're so scared about everything. Mm-hmm. And then the second time comes around and you know that that thing goes quickly, and that, yes, you're like, if I survive the first 2 months, I'm going to be okay. And so you allow yourself to sort of enjoy the second time around a little bit more. At least that's what's happened with me, is that sense of knowing, since I already went through it once, like, okay, all I have to do is be patient. Things won't be like this forever. The baby at one point will sleep through the night. My body will go back to its normal, I'll go back to my routine. I'll be able to do all the activities that I love to do so much. It's just something that I'm going through, and it's just a next step, it's a next stepping stone, and then the next stepping stone.
Yeah, if I could redo the last year and a half, I definitely would have pressed pause more on my career and allowed myself more, not that my baby's much of a snuggler, but just more snuggle time and more time for rest, and less of this getting in my ego of like, I have to create, like just being okay with pressing pause on my career and my business to enjoy that time and to listen to my body and to honor myself for the most amazing, magnificent, the absolute creation. The best thing I could possibly do in this world, right, is give birth, in my opinion, to Ahana. She's my greatest creation. And so for any new mommies that they're just stepping into it, they're just getting ready to give birth, or you're in the early stages of postpartum, I just want to say, listen to your body, honor it for the sacred vessel that it is, and just enjoy the moment. The first step is just coming back into that self-awareness. And Valentina, I liked what you said about, not being in the present moment, but getting yourself revved up, thinking about the future. And it takes away from the miracle that just happened.
And, going back to the miracle is the actual, like, if we allow ourselves to step beyond the ego and beyond like the aesthetics of what we're supposed to look like, at every stage of our bodies, we have to really embrace that we're beautiful no matter what.
Absolutely. And so,
like, no matter what, even postpartum, even the day right after, when we're the most swollen and when we're the most, when we're just feeling like, oh my God, I can't even walk. Like for me, it was even hard to walk after birth because
how about when your milk comes in? Nobody warned me about when your milk comes in. Do you know? Do you remember? Or is this my experience?
No, well, what part of the milk coming in?
Well, it was like they say, okay, the baby's gonna the colostrum for the first couple of days, and I was like, okay, this breastfeeding thing's pretty easy and whatnot. But it's like 3 a.m. She's sleeping on my chest where I'm topless because it's like skin to skin, and she's sleeping on my chest here, and it was just like my breasts were like, whoop. I thought that they were going to smother her. Like I got up at 3 a.m. and I like went and took a picture of like, oh my gosh, like, cause my husband was asleep, but I was like, this is insane. Like I didn't know just like how much your body changes.
Your body changes. It's a miracle. And the fact that we're actually even able to like feed our children through like, through breastfeeding, for those of us who actually do the breastfeeding part, that's another miracle. And so we have to we have to honor our bodies at every stage. So even if we might have, we might look at ourselves saying, oh my God, am I always going to look pregnant? But we stop looking at what's really happening here. And it's that post miracle and the fact that our bodies are really beautiful no matter what and at what stage we're at.
And what's so miraculous and beautiful about our bodies is our bodies know exactly how to get us back to that pre-baby body. So when the milk does come in, whether you nurse or you don't, it is a mechanism that's built into our bodies. That is when the baby is latched and nursing, there's a special biofeedback happening between your body and the baby, telling your body what nutrients the baby needs next. It's also activating your uterus so that it's contracting and just helping it get smaller and smaller. And you're feeding the baby, so that's already extra calories that you might have accumulated over the last 9 months that are going for the sustainment and the nourishment of your child. So it's a beautiful, miraculous event that needs to be celebrated and honored. And to get back to that first step of just be in the present moment and show the love and the gratitude for the miracle that just
yes. And it's hard. We're not saying that it's not hard. It's super hard. I feel like finding that space within yourself to like love yourself, right post baby, it's difficult. I did an exercise this time around, which I think was very transformative. I remember like when I came home from the hospital, so 2 days, I had to wait 2 days at the hospital in order to be able to come back post C-section. And I just remember like going past my hallway of my room, and I could see the mirror, and I saw myself, and I'm like, oh my God, I look 6 months pregnant. And it had been like, 3 days postpartum. And I'm like, I still look 6 months pregnant. Like, oh my God. And I tried to ignore the voices. And then the voices start, they get sometimes angry and angry at yourself. Like, oh my gosh, you're going to look like this forever. I can't believe. And it's like this, that really negative chatter that you hear inside your head. And I remember it getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And for some reason, this time around, I had like the intelligence to like stop.
Good.
And I said, number one, I'm going to stop ignoring my reflection in the mirror, because my first impulse was to like, let me just ignore what I'm seeing because I don't really like what I'm seeing. So I'm just going to walk past the mirror and I'm not going to look at myself. So that was like my first thought. And then afterwards, when I said stop to myself, I said, no, take a look at yourself as you are right now.
Be courageous. Get yourself.
Be courageous. Look at yourself. Yes, exactly. Be courageous. Look at yourself. Don't ignore how you are. Like, look at how you are right then and there. And so I looked at myself, and then this whisper came to me. And the whisper was like, Valentina, how could you possibly ask? Like, what more can you ask of your body? Yeah. Look at yourself and say thank you. So the part of myself that I was giving the most hatred to, which was the belly, because like, oh my God, now my belly's all flabby, was the part of myself that needed the most love. So I actually like put my hands to my tummy, and I remember just bursting into tears because I'm like, how can I be so like unloving towards myself by hating on my belly, which is actually where my baby grew inside of me. So I'm like, I thought to myself, this time around, no matter what, even though it's hard, even though I might not like exactly what I see, I'm saying thank you to my belly. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for bringing up that exercise, because there's these sacred practices I do for myself I tend to forget to share. And it's something that I did as well, would just put my hands on my belly and just give thanks. And even though it was painful after baby of the contractions back down, I would like cringe almost at the feeding time because I was like, no, the cramps are going to happen again. But I would just say, thank you. Thank you for birthing this beautiful baby and creating such a loving, warm environment for her. And now I get to hold her. And I have to tell you that now post baby, my body has never looked better in its entire life. And I work out less and I still eat pretty well, but I'll be honest, I eat cake almost every night. And I've never had more defined abs. And I really think
it's weird how that happens. That was my experience with my firstborn too. And I think a lot of times it's a misconception that people say, oh, well, you'll never look the same. You can actually look better, I think, at post baby.
That's been my experience. Now, I know there are some mommies here that are like, that wasn't their case. They packed on a few extra pounds during pregnancy and then also maybe gave themselves a much longer postpartum time before getting back into some form of physical routine and are still possibly carrying on the baby weight, months or years later. What advice do you have about that, Valentina?
Oh, I have a ton of advice to that. There's but the next episode, because for me, like I always say, there's a saying in Spanish that says, help yourself and God will help you.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of things that we can do to help ourselves that will make that happen. Yeah. Like I'm a huge supporter of like the oils that I use during pregnancy. I think that there's a lot of things that you can actually do before giving birth that will help your body get back into shape. And there's also things that helped me along the way, things that I would wear, like some girdles from Colombia that we call them fajas in Spanish, that like are absolutely, in my opinion, helped me like 100%. So there's a ton of things that we can do to help ourselves get into shape. And I think it's never really too late to get into shape, no matter what, whether it's us, you know, about to give, you know, let me go back. There's not a moment in time where you might not step into a place where you're going to get into shape. It's all about a decision. It's all about stepping into that mindset of, today I tell myself I'm going to get into shape and I'm going to look better than I did yesterday.
Yeah. Yep. Making that firm decision that you're going to live a fit and healthy life. I want to say, you know, make it less about being able to fit into your skinny jeans and more about having the energy to play with your baby and to just live your most vibrant, flexible, fit, physique, strong life.
Yes. And also finding activities. I think one of the keys to staying fit is doing activities that we genuinely love. Yeah. Because if we tell ourselves, oh, I'm going to get really fit and I'm going to run every single day, but we hate running, then we're not really doing ourselves.
No, you need to dance break or roll out the yoga mat or take your dog for a walk or hit the slope, like whatever you love to do. Like, gotta find something that you love to do.
Yes. We have to genuinely find something that we love that will help us burn those calories and get fit, but without like compromising like what we really like. Because if we're doing something that we hate, then we're not going to stick to that gym routine.
Totally. Yeah. And also my gym routine has totally changed. Before baby, I'm a strength and conditioning coach. I'd hit the gym hard, lift heavy weights. And post baby, the most weight I really lift now is about 20 pounds because I strap her to me in the Ergo Baby and we hit the Stairmaster, or we do a couple of dumbbell curls, or we do the machine rower. Like, she is my weight now because #no excuses.
And you'll see her on her Instagram. Tell everybody your Instagram so they can see you as you work out with your baby.
Yeah, so go check out my Instagram. I actually have two, Molly and Luna, and also Mindful Mamas TV.
And you can check me out at Mamas Con Ganas. It's MAMASCONGANAS, and it translates into women with drive. So Mamas Con Ganas.
Thank you so much for this first episode, Miss Valentina. Next Tuesday at...
Yes, we are going to be back talking about more mama stuff. So we'll talk more about our getting our sexy body back, but now past the first step. So we invite you guys to truly embrace yourselves as you are right now. Be patient with yourselves. Everything changes. There's going to be time for everything. Enjoy the moment post-baby. Know that you're not going to always look like the way you look the day after you give birth, or 2 days after, or 3 days, even 3 months. It's a slow journey. And first it requires self-acceptance. And after self-acceptance, we can jump into a mode where we end up going to self-realization, meaning we end up realizing and getting to the goal, the fitness goal that we might have for ourselves post-baby.
Well said, Mama. Hey, Mamas, if you're listening to this replay, be sure to head over to facebook.com/Mama Talk Live to join the conversation. We want to know how you're feeling postpartum and what are the tips or tricks you might have to help mamas along their journey.
Yes, any comments or any subjects that you want us to discuss, make sure to comment below and share with your friends, any mamas that are that you might know who are going through all of the things that we're talking about. It might help them and it might encourage them, you know, to go for it and live their lives in a mindful and con ganas way.
Yes. Okay, Mama. I'll see you next time.
See you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.